Almost overnight, Yao Ming became a fan favorite and a global sensation. Living up to the hype, he paved his way as an 8-time NBA All-Star with over 9,000 points and 4,000 rebounds. By far the most successful Chinese basketball player of all time, and helped give birth to a multi-billion-dollar league. Behind the scenes, though, there were high stakes, backstabbing, and political feuds that almost killed his career before it even got off the ground. So why was Yao Ming's rise so controversial? How did he change basketball forever? Stay tuned as we dive into the complicated story of the most fought-over athlete in Chinese history, Yao Ming. Born in Shanghai, East China, both of Yao Ming's parents had been professional athletes, towering well over 6 feet. Interrupted by the Cultural Revolution of 1967 to 1976, neither of their careers ever reached their full potential. One source claims that Yao's parents only married with the aim of creating a perfect athlete, but this was not proven to be true. From the moment he was born, it was clear that Yao was going to be well equipped for basketball. His birth weight was 11 pounds, double the average newborn in China. Before the age of 10, Yao was already towering over his classmates at 5 feet and 5 inches, higher than the average Chinese man's height, let alone any boy. But it wasn't all genetics. Yao would regularly practice for 10 hours a day, perfecting his skills and making sure that when he competed in tryouts, they couldn't turn him down. Unsurprisingly, while playing for the Shanghai Sharks, he dominated, leading the Chinese Basketball Association in points and rebounds in his rookie season, taking Shanghai to the finals 2 years in a row. But he was under immense pressure. None more than his team's manager, who was pushing for him to enter the NBA draft in 1999. This manager had cut an exploitative deal that would have taken a third of all of Yao's earnings. That's if Yao left China at all. The Shanghai Sharks were refusing to let him go. Instead of being disheartened, Yao performed even better, carrying the Sharks to the finals for the third time, averaging 40 points a game. And this time, they won their first ever championship, handed to them on a platter by Yao Ming. The Sharks were so grateful for his contributions that they agreed to release him and retired his jersey number.
The Houston Rockets select Yao Ming from Shanghai, China.
Even with the team's blessing, though, Yao's path to the NBA wouldn't be straightforward. There were much bigger forces at work far beyond his control. Yao Ming joining the NBA was 20 years in the making. The Asian market had been a key target of the NBA for international expansion, especially China, since the 1970s. The Washington Wizards had been holding annual exhibition games against the Chinese national team in the country. This set the foundation for a relationship that continued to grow over the coming decades, with more and more teams including China in their off-season tours. But while China may have been edging closer to the NBA, the country was still reluctant to release its biggest star. The Chinese Communist Party had a long history of using sports stars to promote national morale. And just a few years before Yao Ming was set to join the NBA, another homegrown star, Wang Zhizhi, had his NBA career railroaded. When Wang stepped out of line and asked to remain in the US during a summer break, the Chinese took a harsh stance. His team, the Los Angeles Clippers, were banned from appearing on Chinese television. And when it was rumored that Wang might actually be defecting to the United States, the Chinese sent 2 military officials to meet him. Days later, Wang held a press conference and claimed that the entire incident was a misunderstanding. Yao Ming's situation was even more delicate. Now there was much more money at stake. And there was no sports figure more useful for the Chinese to promote their system on an international stage. The government pushed through new regulations that would take half of Yao Ming's overseas earnings. On top of that, the national team was now demanding that he return to play in the domestic league. As the 2002 draft neared, this messy situation made NBA teams cautious about choosing Yao Ming, and the frontrunners were the Houston Rockets. His management team, which included an economist, a negotiator, and a Chinese agent, were able to reassure Houston, however. At the last minute, on the morning of the draft, Yao was finally given permission to leave the Chinese Basketball Association. That afternoon, he officially became the first #1 foreign-born draft pick in NBA history. Before even stepping onto an NBA court, Yao Ming had an enormous amount of pressure. Many commentators and analysts predicted that he would be a flop. NBA legend Charles Barkley offered up a wager to kiss his co-host Kenny Smith's ass if Yao Ming scored over 19 points in any game in his first season.
He get 19 points in the game, I'll kiss his ass right here.
And initially, the critics looked to be right. Yao Ming scored 0 points in his debut game, only picking up 2 rebounds. Still, he was good for business. An estimated 500 million Chinese residents watched his debut game, comfortably higher than the total population of the United States. Many viewers were happy enough to see Chinese representation in such a prestigious league. After several quiet games, though, Yao truly announced his arrival in a game against the Los Angeles Lakers. He scored 20 points, proving that Houston had made the right bet. Even Charles Barkley had to admit defeat, kissing a donkey bought by his co-host live on television. As Yao rose through the league, one clear rival came into focus, above any figure in the media: Shaquille O'Neal. In the build-up to their first face-off, Shaq imitated Yao's native Chinese, which was widely seen as racist. And it wasn't the first time. A month earlier, the Miami Heat handed out thousands of fortune cookies, something that isn't common in China, but is instead a widely held stereotype. During his draft pick, some audience members even yelled for Yao to go back to China. But Yao Ming refused to get rattled. Staying focused on the game, he convincingly outplayed Shaq in their first head-to-head. Yao blocked a number of Shaq's shots and later made a game-winning slam dunk with just a few seconds on the clock. He was quickly winning over the respect of his fellow players, and his fan base was rapidly growing. For the 2003 All-Star ballot, he was voted ahead of Shaquille O'Neal by a margin of almost 250,000 votes. Unfortunately, though, popularity wasn't going to fix Yao Ming's deepest issues, which would plague his career until retirement. Between 2003 and 2007, Yao Ming was feared by just about every one of Houston's opponents. In his 4th year in the NBA, Yao seemed to be settling in, finding his stride in the sport and improving with each season, but that's when tragedy struck. A severe foot injury put him out for 21 games. In the second half of the season, after his return, he bounced back to an average 25 points per game. However, Yao's injuries continued to return, and it wasn't the first time they had flared up. Years earlier, while still playing in China, Yao had broken bones in his ankles, leading to a number of missed games in the run-up to his sensational draft pick. His weight of over 300 pounds was putting too much pressure on his joints. Then, in 2006, Yao broke his right knee. 2 years later, though, Houston was sniffing success. Tracy McGrady joined the Houston Rockets, and the team's strategy centered around Yao Ming. Off the court, by 2009, Yao was one of the best paid in the league, earning $51 million, which was helped by major sponsorships from Nike, Pepsi, Visa, Apple, and McDonald's. In the same year, he helped Houston make it past the first-round playoffs for the first time in over a decade, beating the Portland Trail Blazers before taking the Lakers to 7 games and narrowly losing. This would be Yao's final shot at a championship. His contract was expiring the following season, and after missing out on 250 games, he decided to retire. With 286 games under his belt and an average of 19 points per game, it was significantly lower than his prime of 25 points per game in 2006, leaving many to speculate that Yao Ming could have been one of the best centers of all time if not for injury. Still, the mark Yao Ming left on the sporting world was immeasurable. As one of the most marketable athletes in Chinese history, Yao Ming served as an important connection between Western and Asian markets, bringing millions of people into the game and acting as an ambassador for the sport. While he studied English extensively to understand the world he lived in, nothing could have prepared him for the media scrutiny that he received, which was relentlessly doubtful about Yao's ability. But Yao Ming's commitment set him apart from many of his fellow players. After retirement, Yao attended Shanghai Jiao Tong University, graduating with a degree in economics. Meanwhile, his philanthropy and humanitarian work have cemented him as a national icon. Yao has raised awareness about social issues, featured in a nationwide campaign against shark fin soup in China, contributing to elephant and rhinoceros conservation programs, and donating $2 million after an earthquake. His mark on the Chinese sports economy has been even more lasting. And when his former team, the Shanghai Sharks, ran into funding problems, Yao didn't hesitate to step in and buy the franchise. The NBA opened NBA China, which attracted more than a $250 million investment from Disney, and in 2008 was valued at $2.3 billion, which continues to maintain a large Chinese and international audience to this day. When Yao Ming was inducted into the NBA Hall of Fame in 2017, his arch-rival Shaquille O'Neal gave a speech in his honor, calling him a great player, a great ambassador to the game, and a great friend.